Oh, what's up guys, and welcome back to ProjectTimeGarage and the second installment on our Project F2-hooptie turbo and seals and fuel bowl reseal and oil crossover and plenums and. If you remember the last episode, we pretty much cleaned out the whole valley, got the fuel bowl out of the way, got all the wiring out of the way, got the turbo off, got the pedestal off, got the up pipes off, and we started sort of putting it back together a little bit. We got our up pipes on it and our collector, and right now the guy who owns the truck, he is there with some diesel fuel and a little brush cleaning out the valley. And today, with any kind of luck, fingers crossed, we're going to get the turbo set back on there, and we're going to get the fuel bowl resealed and hopefully start to button it back up some and get the thing where it will at least start. So stay tuned for that. So what we got going on here is diesel fuel that came out of the fuel bowl and a scrubby brush and a little bit of elbow grease with that elbow right there.
This stuff is sludged in there. Been there a long time.
That's where that diesel fuel comes in real handy. And this is how we clean up the turbo pedestal. A little bit of diesel fuel, a little bit of brake cleaner. I'm exercising finger control so as not to explode and kill everybody. We need to get our old O-rings off the back of the block there, which is where our pedestal is going to seal. Alright, at that point we have a big and a small O-ring that goes back in those spots. Came with the KC Turbos kit. And our turbo pedestal, which is nice and freshly cleaned. Them lines are riding away, aren't they? They don't move. Pedestal's back on, cleaned up, O-rings are back under it, and it's torqued to factory torque specifications. All right, so if any of you guys have not done a turbo on one of these before, getting it lined up can be kind of a challenge. You see the collector right there that the back of the turbo actually mounts to, and you'll see at the very top, 12 o'clock position, there's a dowel sticking out of it. Let me show you on the old turbo how that works. This is the collector, and this is the dowel that you were seeing a second ago. The back of the turbo has a locating hole in it there, and the idea is when you get it up there just right and you get it indexed right, it'll fall in place. But that's the only place it'll go, and it's pretty darn important to make sure that this is a good seal, because this has a little bit of a taper to it, so that when that band clamp tightens up, it pulls together and doesn't leak. If you have it just a little bit wrong, then it'll leak. And if it leaks, you'll end up with poor boost and high EGTs. So it's sometimes easier to get all this stuff lined up, leave this band clamp unhooked, and when you're ready, you can just hook it up like that. At this point, it's, you know, it's pretty well there, and you can index this band clamp however you want it before you start tightening it up. And just remember, however you tighten it up is how you're going to have to take it apart the next time you do this job if you ever do it again. So just make sure that this ends up in a happy position. Also, something to remember is as you tighten this, it's going to move some. So, you know, sometimes it's better to start it down a little bit from where you want it, so when you tighten it, it'll end up straight. But anyway, your mileage may vary. That's how that works. Okay, this is the turbo, kind of what we all been waiting on. This is a Stock Plus from KC Turbos. Not sponsored. He bought it, his money. How do you feel about that?
Pretty good.
Anyway, so pretty straightforward. We're just going to sit it on there and we're going to clamp it up like we talked about the old one. We're going to leave this on here just for now, unless it falls off. But here's something to keep in mind. This right here, it takes this O-ring. Don't forget that O-ring when you put your spider back on. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Because if you do forget that, you'll be taking your spider back off and all that other junk. Ask me how I know. All right, all's left to do is heft the sucker back in there. High pressure lines are in the way, aren't they? Doing good. Ow, ow. There you go. Doing good. It angles the front, I think. The purple part comes towards you and your left hand goes toward the back some more, I think. You're getting there.
It's on there.
No, it's not. This right here is the bolt hole. Right here.
Yeah, it's got to go a long way
It's
back.
way back there. Yep.
Man, I thought I was on it.
I don't know. I hoped. It's just lift and sit down. Oh, you're almost there. Yep, almost there. Almost there. There it is. We're going to go ahead and we'll start one bolt and get it sort of put back on there. We don't want to tighten these bolts, guys. Just remember that. Don't tighten them all the way because you need a little bit of room to move around. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to struggle with that band clamp. All that stuff I just showed you on the table. I'm sure somebody on YouTube has filmed this, but God bless those people because you can't even see it. You have to lay your face up on the cowl of the truck, reach your arms back there and fiddle with it that way. So again, we've left our turbo loose and our up pipes are loose down here at the exhaust manifolds. They're tight up at the top. That's all buttoned down because you can't really get to them. They're just loose down here. All right, so that has that's put back together and cleaned up. And if you'll notice down there at the bottom, the exhaust back pressure valve or solenoid, the connectors broke off of that, and we chose not to do anything about it because the exhaust back pressure valve or flap, the flap is not provisioned on these turbos, so we don't use it. So there's no point in paying 150 bucks or whatever for a new sensor that you can't use. With the turbo on it, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do this this oil crossover tube. And basically it goes where that plug is, you take that plug out, and the same over on this side. And supposedly it just equalizes the pressure on the high pressure oil rails. Now, I don't know what kind of difference it makes or anything. If any of you guys have experience with this and have done this, tell me what it did for you. I'm curious to know. I mean, you know, we're in here, put it in, it may help, may not, I don't know. So Curious to know what you guys think about this mod. All right, so we'll pop those plugs out of the rails real quick. There's one. Here comes some oil. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pull the fittings off the bottom of this line. These fittings.
I think it's too big.
Shouldn't be. It should be exactly right.
There it goes.
And we'll screw those into the block, into the oil rail. Next thing we'll do is just screw on our line. All right, that's good. Hold tight. All right, so the crossover is in place. Next step is probably going to be maybe the spider, possibly. All right, fuel bowl time. And we're going to go ahead and replace those little fuel bowl line seals, kind of like O-rings, but really look like a really short piece of heater hose.
All right. Get the other.
Got two different sizes of them. The two small ones, yeah, three different sizes of them. Two small ones go on this side. On that side, you have a little bit bigger one and then quite a bit bigger one. All right, at that point, we can put the fuel bowl back in the machine. And there's a bolt that comes through from the back side that holds it in. You see it? It should be right here where my hand is.
Yeah, I see where they go.
Probably want to go ahead and start one of them. Probably want to start both of them, to be honest. A couple threads apiece. Yeah, good luck with that. The bolts go right in there behind the belt, and they are a real tight spot to get to, but see how that works. All right, so hooking those things up is not that tough. It's just a matter of getting them started.
All right.
Okay. 9/16 for those two. Okay, we're to the point of putting the spider on this. And normally when you put the spider on, you put a boot on one side of the spider and you put the other boot on the plenum and you push it down and kind of rock it in place. But these boots that we got here from Riff Raff, again, not sponsored, they allow you to kind of slide them down and make the connection without having to do all that rigmarole. So that's pretty nice. We'll go ahead and drop our band clamps on and get them oriented in a way that we can actually get to them, take them, or screw them back on. I'll just go ahead and drop all four of them down. Then we can drop our plenum in. Now, very important, there is a O-ring that goes here on this turbo. We're not going to forget that, are we? Hopefully not. Now that that one's on, we can work this one up and get it in place. There we go. Now, I left the bottom clamps loose so that I could separate this and put that O-ring in that I always seem to forget. We won't tighten those bottom ones up until we get this band clamp in place and get it all tightened down. This is one band clamp that looks like it could do to be replaced. Smack all that back on there and try to make it stay. All right, that should have that. Now we can come back, tighten up these bottoms. Next, I'm going to work on getting some of this wiring kind of laid back in place where it goes. All right, trying to get these boots back on these pipes. That's always a lot of fun. This one here is already back on and got our down pipe put in back there. Pretty much everything's buttoned back up. Electrical connections are made. Fuel bowl sealed back up. Really all we got left is to put that tube there back in and lay the air cleaner on it, and we should be able to go for a start. And yeah, we're gonna start it with just a down pipe because you kind of got to. All right, other charged air pipe going in. Driver's side's quite a bit easier to snake through there than the passenger side is. These new boots are a little bit thicker than the original ones, which is a good thing, but makes it a little more of a challenge to get those clamps on there. And the air filter.
Spray paint this thing black.
All right, well that's got everything put back together on the engine. We're gonna stick some batteries on it and see if it'll light. Should sound really cool with just that downpipe. All right, guys, we got it all back together, and we're gonna go for a first start. So let's see what happens here. Yeah. it's got balls now. it's a lot stronger with this turbo. Big difference, amazing difference. Idle quality's different too. I guess that's the oil crossover tube, but it idles completely different. It's got more of a, I don't know, different idle. Maybe the exhaust, I don't know. All right, runs good. Sounds pretty rowdy with just that downpipe, I gotta say. The next thing we're gonna do to this is gonna be exhaust, but we're gonna go put that in the next video because these videos are getting kind of long and I want everybody to, you know, watch to the end, right? That's the whole reason for the videos. So I'll go ahead and end this one right here and we'll pick back up next week on the exhaust. So, oh, and a test drive. We'll put it out and drive it and check it out some also. Anyway, guys, as usual, I really appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Tell all your friends about us. Guys, I'll see you next time.